G'day everyone, we're catching up with Krissy Regan today, and thank you very much for joining us, Krissy. Can you give us just a little bit of a background on where you are as a local author?
Thanks, Matt, for having me. It's exciting to talk to you. So where am I at as an author? In 2020, I published two books, one which was a children's book, this one, The Koala Who Lost His Heart, and also an adult's book called Broken to Unbreakable, 12 Steps to Unbreakable Mind, Body and Spirit. So it was a big year for me publishing my first two books, both in an adult space and a children's space, and two very different experiences. And this year in 2021, I plan to publish another children's book and a second adult's book. So that's where I'm at.
Wow, so being that you write for both the adult genre and the children's book genre, I take it that you would have more challenges than the normal person who was just writing for picture book challenges, because I was saying that regional authors have more challenges writing than people have access to the bigger cities. So as a picture book author, what do you think your main challenges are, and how does that correlate with your adult genre?
Well, it's interesting because I think finding support and a network, people to collaborate with, people to share your ideas with. Obviously, we have to drive a bit further to do that. But one thing I felt reassured about last year in producing my children's book was there actually was a lot of other children's authors within a relatively short distance of me. So maybe 20 kilometers, 30 kilometers, 40 kilometers, even 150 kilometers. So if I was willing to go to their space and meet with them and to share with my ideas, then I was able to form those bonds quite quickly, because we all suffer from the regionalism thing where we have to go to places to meet other people. It's not like there's a mass market of places where we can meet up on a consistent basis. So that's really what I focused on last year, and I was very fortunate to meet you. And just through going to local markets and libraries and book events like the Younger Borough Book Fair, I was able to network with a lot of other people working in the children's book space, so editors, designers, that type of thing. And that really gave me confidence and reassurance that there was people nearby me who had done it, who would be willing to help me navigate the process. So I was really, really grateful for that.
Yeah, so networking is definitely a key component. When I first started off, it was always about going to conferences, which, again, as a regional author, very difficult, very expensive, having to go to the main cities to do that. And then when we got hit with the COVID shutdown, that's one of the main reasons that I actually decided to do this course, was to get another avenue for people who just can't travel, who can't do the networking through those conferences. So, yeah, that's great. So the next big question I always get is, where do you get your ideas from?
Well, it's funny, because I think there is a classic thing, and it's written about, it's write what you know, isn't it? So, write what you know. So for me, my adults book was what I know. The children's book was inspired by my love of koalas and bringing that story to life in a unique and interesting way for children. And you inspired me, as well as another Townsville children's author, to reach out to the Australian Koala Foundation, which are based in Brisbane, share with them the project and ask them if they'd be willing to endorse the book. And they gave me some fact sheets, and they sell it in their shops and everything. So that was really powerful, and just a key insight that, as a novice, I wouldn't have known. But I had to take the initiative to pick up the phone and say, hey, I'm doing this. Do you want to be involved? And that's quite scary, obviously. They're like, who are you? Where are you? What are you doing? So, it's not always easy. You do have to be a bit bold and a bit brave sometimes. But, the idea for my second children's book also comes from my childhood and my horse. And it's a story about a horse who teaches a young girl how to love, and that shares a little bit about our adventures growing up. So I think tapping into what things that inspire you, things that you love doing, and that will come through in the way that you tell the story and bring the story to life for children.
That's one of the things that I find resonating when I talk to a lot of other authors, is that there's all this confusion about what to write, and they always try to write what is popular at the time. But in essence, you need to stay true to yourself and write about what is you're passionate about, and write in the style or the way that you are true to yourself. So that's a lesson that I learned as an author, to stay true to myself. Yeah.
Yeah, and your books are really unique and quite quirky. And I think you're a unique and quirky person in an awesome way. So I think it's true, bringing that part of yourself forward. And children love that. They love to see people being themselves and to telling stories in different ways. And yes, it is very, very true.
Well, the next big question I get, especially when you're talking about writers who aren't illustrators, I'm an author illustrator, so I don't have this difficulty as much. But it's you write the story. So how do you go about the illustrations? Do you have the illustrations in mind when you're writing your story, or do you write the story and then figure out how to go about getting it illustrated?
So I'm free to admit that I am a rubbish illustrator. I'm rubbish at art. I'm rubbish at drawing. I'm good at stick people. That's the extent of my drawing. And I've shown my 6-year-old how to draw hearts on a piece of paper, and that's all I can do. So I am very reliant on other people helping me bring my stories to life in terms of pictures. With this book, I collaborated with a friend who I've known all my life, and she hand drew all of the pictures, and then we put them through a digital process. With my second, so I've known her all my life, and it was funny because she had read my adults book and saw that throughout I had some illustrations like this, which I had an artist in Europe make for me. And she said, oh, if you ever need any illustrations for your next book, let me know. And I said, oh, that's a really interesting idea. I have an idea. Would you like to do this project together? So that came about quite organically and quickly.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and as we laid out the story on the pages, it was kind of easy to see what fitted and how we wanted it to flow and thread together. And I think I'm more skilled at knowing how to do things after I have something on paper. Okay, well, let's move this around, and can we put the koala a bit higher, and can we have more bush here? So that type of creative process I'm fine at. It's just physically creating the things I can't do. And the second book, which I'm working on for horses, I'm collaborating with 2 local artists who are painters. And so they're painting the pictures, and then we're going to put them through the digital process. So it's really interesting how you can do it in so many different styles. And of course, yours tend to be very cartoon-like, which is super cool because they're very fun. So I think, there are so many different styles that you can employ, but I need help.
Yeah.
So I need to find people who can help me, which is why I like you.
I've seen picture books with stickmen in them. So, there's still hope for you yet.
Yeah, I know. I think I have one here. This is a stick man. See, this is about the best that I could do.
Awesome. Yeah. That's awesome. All right. So I suppose the last question I have for you would be, what one piece of advice or 2 pieces of advice would you give the emerging author, children's book author?
Don't wait. I meet so many people who say, oh, I've really always wanted to do that. And especially teachers, they tell me, oh, I'd love to write a children's book. And I said, just do it. I'll help you, and I don't think we should wait. Just put your idea onto paper and then go out and start meeting and talking to people. And, I can be at the markets at Port Douglas and see a mum and dad children's author with a whole table full of books. And I can go to the markets in Townsville and see a children's author. Children's authors are everywhere. They're just kind of in their own little, it's finding those people and networking with them and saying, how have you done it? And don't wait, really. Once you've got your idea, just find a way to connect with people in person and online. And that's why your Facebook group is good for bringing people together, because you can share ideas and get support really easily.
Yeah, and it's all about breaking that imposter syndrome. I find that a lot of people have that. Yeah, I went through it a lot when I was first starting out. It's like, I'm trying to say that I'm an author and an illustrator of kids' books, yes. But I'm not with Scholastic, or I'm not with Penguin, and it's that whole, are you really?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. But I think over time, like you have to try anything to get confident. You're not always going to be perfect first time around, but if you try it, and there's definitely ways to learn and improve things as you go along. But ultimately, you've just got to start somewhere, haven't you?
That's it. All right. Well, thank you very much for your time, Krissy. All the best with your next picture book, and the one after that, and the one after that, I'm sure.
It's nice to talk to you. Thanks for having me.
Okay, we'll catch up again soon.
Okay, ciao. Bye.